Hope you guys are all well. Appreciate you tuning into Ox Talks today. Well, mid last week, a huge new case landed on my desk that's taken almost every waking moment, drafting, preparing a lawsuit, preparing a request for restraining order, for issuance of injunctive relief. It's a real property dispute where someone fraudulently obtained a 50% interest in a piece of property that my client's also on title. They have now locked my client out of the property, threatening to sell or encumber the other half interest. So there's some urgency to it, and to take the file in, gather all the facts, the details, and draft all this paperwork, and to get this thing filed tomorrow requires 2 court hearings, one on the issuance of the temporary restraining order, which is called ex parte or emergency relief, and then another one in a couple of weeks on the issuance of the what's called the preliminary injunction, which, if granted, would remain in effect until time of trial. Anyway, lots of stuff. Also have to record what's called a notice of pending action with the county recorder, Liz Pendens, that puts the world on notice that this property now is in litigation. There's a quiet title dispute, a dispute to cause of action to cancel and rescind a fraudulent transfer deed. So anyway, just to give you a minute and a half version of where I've been for the past week or so, let me start by saying that, I feel like the theme is consistent here, where I'm always coming out and saying, we've got problems, things are bumpy. Obviously, you guys can all see what's unfolding, and we know that. So the purpose of today's title, Fed Up, basically heralds from the name of the story, or the title of the story I want to share with you today, out of CNN of all places. Not a big fan, but I'm going to share with you the commentary. But I just checked Zero Hedge. Evidently, Peter Schiff was out Sunday night with his podcast. And I didn't watch the podcast, but he was commenting evidently on what had transpired with the stock markets last week, pretty substantial sell-off. And his thought was that, or conclusion is, the markets are waking up to the reality that we have stagflation. And again, I don't know if you guys want to go check out that podcast, or check out the article on Zero Hedge from today. But interestingly enough, we had today, the markets came out of the gates, opened up in the green. Dow was up a couple hundred points. It reversed. It closed down, I think, 150 points. The NASDAQ barely eked out a gain, and same with the S&P. So we have a lot of uncertainty in the stock market. You guys probably are also, maybe you are or are not following cryptocurrency. There's been a massive sell-off in the cryptocurrency space over the past couple days. A lot of it is obviously bigger buyers, bigger investors looking to push the weak hands out. And so far, it's having a big effect. I've seen, a lot of money being wiped off of the crypto market cap in the last few days. Bitcoin's down around 85,000. So again, I don't know if you guys are in that space. But there's a lot of gamesmanship going on, as we know also plays out in the stock market and in the gold and silver market. Every time silver gets to $33, wham, it gets smashed back down. So this happens across the board. It's nothing new. All right, just be careful in whatever your chosen asset classes are. Do your homework and be educated. So I pulled up the AI overview of stagflation. It says it's a combination of high inflation, slow economic growth, and high unemployment. Let me repeat that. High inflation, slow economic growth, and high unemployment. Sound familiar? It's a challenging economic situation that can be difficult for governments to manage. Okay, it says, why is it a problem? It's difficult to combat because policies that help with inflation can make unemployment worse, and vice versa. It can lead to lower productivity as companies cut costs and people spend less. And it can challenge, it says, traditional economic theories. That is your AI overview of stagflation. We know that a lot of government jobs are being cut right now, and I think it's probably just the beginning. So a lot have been discussing for months that these people are going to be making their way into or trying to make their way into the labor force, right? Probably many of them in the private sector once their unemployment benefits run out. So we're going to be having to absorb tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, of folks who are looking for work. We know that inflation continues on items that are important to all of us every day, continues to go up. Okay, cost of food, cost of insurance, healthcare, auto insurance, all of those items, right? I did share with you last week what I thought was some silver lining, which was the CEOs coming out and saying, well, we think the glass is half full. We see promise with the economy. But as I got to thinking about that, obviously you're going to have CEOs, of the big companies coming out and trying to spin this because they want to keep their stock prices high, right? They want to keep people buying their stock, or most importantly, keep people from selling their stock, which of course ticks off their large investors and large shareholders. So again, obviously there's a little bit of, let's say, self importance there relative to what the CEOs, right, are going to say, right? Also survival mode, because these CEOs are only as good as their last earnings report and their stock price. So let me share with you the CNN article which I saw today, and it says Americans are getting fed up with the economy. Does that mean we're heading into a recession? It says out of Washington, CNN, American consumers and businesses are feeling uneasy, fearing higher inflation is lurking around the corner, it says, as President Donald Trump talks massive tariffs. That's raising questions on what America's souring economic mood means for spending, hiring, and the future of the world's largest economy. Guys, comment below. I'm not going to get into the political analysis here, but do you honestly not believe that the inflation problem started years ago in the prior administration, and not all of a sudden now panic being created because of the threat of tariffs? Again, you guys can leave your comments and your input below here in the video. It says the kinds of changes that are occurring under Trump are arguably unprecedented, and it's making people very nervous. Again, keep in mind, we're reading a story out of CNN. This is according to Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's. If confidence continues to fall for another 3 months, the consumers actually pack it in, then he said it's game over. Inflation fears are putting America on edge. It's not just inflation fears, guys. It's the reality that we're living this every single day, paying more and getting less. According to various surveys, consumer confidence fell sharply in February, registering its sharpest monthly decline since August 2021. The Conference Board said on Tuesday. The National Federation of Independent Businesses, which has been collecting data since 1973, reported its third highest reading ever on its uncertainty index for January. Pessimism is also becoming apparent on Wall Street. Investor sentiment on Tuesday shifted into extreme fear, which hasn't happened since December, according to CNN's Fear and Greed Index. But gloomier attitudes don't usually lead to a pullback in spending, according to economists. For instance, in June 2022, when consumer sentiment plunged to record low as inflation reached a 4-decade high, American shoppers continued to spend in the following months. Take that obviously with a grain of salt. We have a consumer now that is not where they were in June of 2022. I've shared a story, I believe, some data last week relative to the consumer debt, again, being at all-time highs. All-time highs. Credit lines are maxed out. Consumers are broke. They're going 30, 60, 90, 120 late on their credit card obligations, on their auto loan obligations, even on their HELOC payments for their homes. So you can't compare where the consumer was in 2022 to now, because they're tapped out. And since 2022, prices have continued to increase. So again, they're paying more, we're all paying more and getting less. Consumer spending accounts for 70% of the U.S. economy, and retail sales account for about a third of overall spending. All right. So although there haven't been signs of a consumer pullback, the latest data on retail spending was not encouraging. Retail sales fell 0.9% in January from the prior month, according to the Commerce Department. That's the first monthly decline since August of 2024. And the economist said that the weaker than expected figure was due to unseasonably cold weather, right? It's always the cold weather that prevents consumers from shopping. Do you think that they can't sit at their computer in their nice, warm, heated home and click buy on Temu and on Amazon and all that stuff? They don't need drop ship to their front door. Of course they can. It says the Commerce Department will release fuller figures on consumer spending this Friday. Walmart, America's largest retailer, warned last week that its sales and profit growth could slow this year. Years of high inflation. Here we go. Years of high inflation, right? And elevated borrowing costs have strained consumers, especially those with lower incomes. I addressed that on a show, I believe also last week, saying until we're able to really get to the lower income consumers and somehow change bad spending habits, get them on more solid footing, nothing's going to change, okay, for the better. Chairman James says, Tony James, former president of asset manager Blackstone, told CNBC Wednesday, at the same time, I think the uncertainty out of Washington is causing businesses to slow down. He is chairman of Costco's board of directors, pointed to rising delinquencies and the narrowing base of consumers driving spending in addition to weakening consumer confidence. I saw an article out the other day saying that, which didn't surprise me, the title was, I didn't dig into it, was that the wealthier segment of the population are the ones keeping up the retail sales numbers, okay? And of course, we have the layoffs of federal workers, which this article says could also spook consumers to cut back. When layoffs hit close to home, it says people start getting nervous. Well, sure, if they have a parent or a loved one or a spouse lose a job, they have to recalibrate the already stretched dollars that they were relying on to put food on the table. So this is all unfolding, guys. I just wanted to just touch base, share this with you. Again, it was just the source was there. It was a summary of several items that I frankly unfolded in the last few days. I haven't been able to get to and put up any content for you guys. So I thought it was important to kind of recap. Markets look weak. Okay. There is a problem with sentiment, and there is a problem with confidence right now. And it's a culmination of everything happening at once. All right. So I'm a little bit long today. Appreciate you guys watching. Please button down the hatches. Do what you can in your own personal financial space to make good decisions. If you're able to invest in assets, do it smartly. Don't take unnecessary risk. If you're just scraping by, try to obviously, I'm not pontificating. I'm just saying, just spending for things that are not necessary. Those dollars are going to be needed down the road as this road apparently keeps getting bumpier and bumpier. All right. I'll touch base here in the next couple of days. Appreciate all of you. Don't neglect the workout. Get those steps in. I'll be leaving here in about an hour to get my workout in. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.